action, particularly since it's not a champion that we're used to seeing catch play. We will see if that changes up here in Pick and Ban in Game 2. Again, the Twisted Fate ban.
On blue side, no less. Now, Twisted Fate doesn't really...
I mean, Twisted Fate is a red side champion, for sure.
He's a red side 5th pick. I mean, we're not at the stage where it's first pick, first ban. That's not to say we won't get there as the patches keep rolling, as the backline threat keeps diminishing. There is always the potential for Twisted Fate to take over a meta again. And some might argue it's already here, but so far in Champion, it's been a bit sparing with the TF.
Yeah, it's not quite here yet, I feel. I mean, if we start seeing things like Maokai nerfs, then we may be in Twisted Fate land. But
Twisted Fate's in the air. I don't know what that means. I don't know what it smells like or looks like. It's probably some cards being thrown out. But for now, still, a lot of respect to GBM, who, again, it's just so damn annoying keeping tabs on both the teleport and the Destiny cooldowns.
It is. Well, Vayne and Ezreal, the final 2 bans, they are going to take Alistar for Secret. That has been his best champion. The Ezreal, I'm a bit surprised to see. GBM has been an Ezreal player in the past, even though we haven't seen Jinair really emphasize that Runeglaive. They're just going to take Victor right here.
Long time since we've seen Alistar first pick. He's definitely fallen through picks and ban priorities. The likes of Cogmore, the likes of Braum have been taken at a higher priority. So I don't think Jinair's worried about giving away the Alistar. Chaser thinking about doing his best Tom impression. Noted Udyr player.
Simple. Just take the Kog'Maw, take the
Simple,
Victor.
Like Skarner. It's got the point and click ultimate. It's great. Simple.
Simple, like trolling Cloud Templar like they always do.
Devour us, Skarner. It's all right. Okay, the Amumu now we're just getting into pure troll territory.
Well, it's just trolling Cloud Templar. That's how you do things. It's been this way for years, Papa Smithy.
Team Dark, they had it best.
They had it the best. Well, I assume it's going to be a Victor here. Why take anything else? And there you go. Kog'Maw and Victor, the pickups. They don't have to grab the Braum early, as they have some flexibility. So Sweet's just going to give GBM a nice shoulder massage during picks and bans. GBM delivers on that Victor pick. That's why people ban it. So Rumble could be the pickup here, but I have a feeling Jinair. See if I can predict the rest of their ban phase, okay?
Oh, I'm listening.
Well, it's going to be obviously Rumble or Maokai. Pick that one. They need probably Maokai if SBENU doesn't pick it up, because they need a little bit more engaged, because they'd like to pick the Braum.
It's nice to deny away from counterplay against the Kog'Maw in the backline as well.
Yeah, exactly. So SBENU should take the Maokai here, but if they don't, I think we'll see Maokai Braum, and they'll hold their jungle until the final pick, and then lock in Nidalee if they can. Nidalee banned. Oh, damn, they're going to get Gragas then, which always has some nice synergy there with Victor and Kog'Maw.
It feels like I've already seen that game, maybe multiple times today, but it feels like I know exactly how that'll pick out. But look, they're throwing out the playbook. They might even lock in the Gragas early, Monte Cristo.
Oh, boy.
Hold that support to last.
That's right. The question is it Braum or is it Annie? I'm going to wait and see what the mid laner is before coming to that conclusion.
Need to see some threats to work out what's really necessary.
But Braum is just so much better with Kog'Maw than Annie is. You get that peel, and you get those long-range stuns that you can proc with the concussive blows.
Waiting to see a mid laner. We're hoping to see something different from Sarsen.
Oh, please don't do this again.
Oh, they might do it again.
Now, to be fair...
More reliable comp this time. It's not jungle Nidalee. At least they've got the rec sites. Much more targeted. This is basically the let's control Dragon and hopefully get 5 of them.
That's very true. And Soul has been more reliable in terms of teleports. So they've got that working for them. If they try the Sivir Lulu combination, it will be Corki and Jarvan. Okay, well, now we've got something interesting to talk about. SBENU definitely the most Jarvan-y team.
Jarvan middle lane, no
Yes,
less.
it is, of course. That is not something that is played often here. Of course, Keen is in NALCS, so that's where that usually goes down, but they want to all in the Victor early. Okie dokie.
This is really exciting. We've seen Gamsu obviously do a lot of top Jarvan in the LCS. It's also been played in the LPL. It's a kill lane in the mid lane, but...
I did it, Papa Smithy. I
Did you?
predicted their composition.
You absolutely did. Now that I look at it. Not in the right order, so you're going to lose a couple of the bonus points from that.
At least I get a B+. Can I have a B+?
You can have an A-.
Oh, you're so gracious.
You can think about what could have been.
I think that's some great inflation, though, Papa Smithy. I think you're being a little too easy on me.
I'm just marking you by the American system, so A- for you. If this was Britain, that'd be a C, I believe. But you guys get points for effort.
It is actually really sad, the state of great inflation in America. You know, I had one professor in college who did not subscribe to that whatsoever. It was hilarious to watch people's GPAs tank in her classes. Well, we are going to get into Game 2 on the night. SBENU, they've got the Jarvan Rumble Hot Pot combination. They're all in the mid-game. If this goes late, they will do nothing, and they will die. Jarvan will just die instantly to Victor Burst. So a bit curious. We'll see how Chaser and Catch play around this mid lane. If GBM can turn it early and get a kill, could be a disaster for SBENU, but I like the aggression.
Maokai, Gragas, Braum, all expected to be rotating around that mid lane, just trying to provide a little bit of defensive utility. GBM's gone for the most defensive option of all with the Summoner spell. He's going with the barrier just to block as much damage as possible.
Well, let's get into Game 2, guys. Jinair, SBENU. Sasson dives into his champion pool again and pulls out mid lane Jarvan. So Chaser here, talking up a storm in the early game. It would appear as a little bit of a weird invade going to be coming in from Jinair. They want to make a play in the top side of the map. Now it'd be great for them to get a lane swap here, freeing up the Braum and the tree. Maokai. There we go. On the map for some early mid lane pressure and to make Sasson maybe think twice about chunking out GBM.
Surprisingly defensive opening items for Sasson. He's gone for the Flask. He could have just gone for Longsword, 3 potions, the Mana Sustain. Look, it does help you poke a little bit more with your Q from range, but surprisingly not all-in item choice for what is an all-in champion through and through.
Well, the problem with doing that, though, is Jarvan's mana costs are not great early on in the game. And if you don't have any sustain, you have to choose, do you want to hit harder or more often, I feel.
That is a trade-off.
It is a trade-off.
Now you're a man that's skilled in the fighting arts. Which is the smarter?
More often, I would say, in this particular situation. Of course, I think you just want to keep on training, but no sapling invade. Jinair's actual level 1 would have pushed back anyone who is trying to go for a sapling invade right here. So this is a smart idea with a Maokai, actually, if you actually want to give a level advantage over. And that's going to be a high premium in this game because they need to give GBM every advantage he can get. And he's actually starting Q.
Yeah, he's against a melee champion, so Q starts not a really big issue. Could even go for a couple of points in Q, but...
GBM with the manner laughing after dodging the first Dragonlance right there. I love it.
You saw the skulls. This is where he's at. This is Demon GBM today.
And he's dancing now. And he's trying to distract him because guess who's coming in from behind? It is Sweet on the Braum. The lane swap that we talked about is successful for Jinair. Well, this is cute already. I love it, Papa Smithy. I love it.
We're playing musical chairs around mid. Maokai is going to be there. The Braum's going to come visit. Everyone is going to do their best to keep GBM topped up in this mid lane.
Indeed, they will. Well, GBM's falling back for the moment. He's got nothing really to worry about right now. He can just sit there right next to his turret. No kill pressure on him, and a bit of a challenge for Sasson to be trading with him early.
Did you just see the skills? Might see an extra point into Q. I don't think it's really necessary. I think the instant wave clear will be more important as another dodge comes through. He's got the mana sustain, so not as critical that he registers every bit of poke.
Right, but...
oh.
He's missing a lot of them. GBM seems very comfortable playing against this Jarvan.
definitely a champion that picks up 180 item, the likes of Tiamat, and can just go crazy. In fact, when we see these top lane Jarvans, you might think, okay, Tiamat into tanking. No, no, no. Infinity Edge often comes out just for the instant kill. If you're trading your Jarvan, whether it's top or mid, for either Kog'Maw or Victor, specifically in a burst capacity, job done for the Jarvan.
Yeah, and you have so much mid-game power and cleanup with the Rumble and the Corki. I'm curious whether Jin is going to commit to any kind of early dragons at all, because they certainly don't have to.
If you get pink wards around the dragon, you cannot face check a Jarvan. You will die instantly.
Yes, yes you will. Well, Soul getting zoned off the wave right now. Maokai now making his way down into the bottom lane. Sweet sticking around top for the most part, so no one actually making a play on the mid lane, despite how extended Jarvan is. GBM just playing it nice and safe. He wants his farm, and this is how GBM plays. Stand next to his tier 1, be very consistent and reliable. One of the most defensive mid laners in this league. And here we go, Chaser coming through for a gank, and that's going to be a flash immediately. And there's a flash double knockup, actually. Secret getting a bit low. They're not going to be able to commit. So flash for a flash right there. Maybe not worth it for that flash from Chaser.
Let's come back to your previous point. GBM excellent defensive lane at Trace as well, and there's a reason that you don't want to necessarily pick a lot of these super all-in picks like Sarsen, is that GBM will do fine. It's just, again, comes back to the core identity of where does the carry come from. If you've got a mid lane that's so happy to be denied, that's kind of the issue that's plagued them against the top teams. In this particular situation, though, with Pilot on form especially, remember, he's been switching places with Captain Jack most of the season. If Pilot can be the carrier for this team, and you play into their positions of advantage, then I think Jin will be just fine.
Yeah.
Farm, farm, farm.
Yeah, that's right. You need to punish GBM for his decision-making, and that's what we see teams do a lot of the time, is that they start to actually just press forward in the lane, and then they invade Chaser. Because if there's a blueprint to beating Jin, because, like you're saying, the solo laners are defensive in nature, that means they can't react as quickly in the jungle if they're under their tier 1 turret as your solo laners. So go in there and try and mess with Chaser, because if you shut Chaser down, you shut Jin down, and there's just not that same ability for them to be resistant to heavy invading.
And the people listening might think, okay, but if you're under your own turret, you know, playing defensively, being denied, you have the shorter route to helping with the invade. But the big issue is you can't leave those massive clumped up minion waves that Trace and GBM are often waiting to crash into the turret. The opportunity cost of defending is so high. That's why invades will work, and that's what teams have been taking advantage of.
It's also because to get to your own jungle at that stage, you have to walk through some narrow chokes, and you're almost certainly going to take a bad trade out of the mid lane. I mean, if we look at where GBM was just walking through right there, Jarvan has every opportunity to land a combo, and it's much harder for Victor to do the same when you have the freedom of the entire lane in the river. So it's basically they know exactly what your decision is going to be, that you have many more choices to make if you have the freedom to leave and are in the larger space.
You just compare Jin to a team like SKT, which push multiple waves. Sometimes Marin dies, sometimes Faker dies in the early game, but they keep applying pressure and always have the option to invade the enemy jungle, whereas Jin always playing defensively. Enemy jungler mid lane, or even the support are on the same wavelength and invading, like the likes of Peekaboo and Score. You're given that freedom to get both the vision and contest the buffs that other teams just won't give you.
Yes. Well, let's take a look at what's going on in the mid lane right now. They're going to try for it all in, but GBM, Sarsen going to take a turret shot. There's the gravity field. Catch was trying to follow up. Chaser already there. There's a knockup. Can they turn this around? Sarsen really doesn't have any more damage. He got his Hex Drinker, but that is a major failure right there. He didn't get any damage from his combo. He used it to close the gap to use his ult, so that was pretty bad.
That was awful.
That was real bad.
That's some putrid mid-Jarvan play coming through from Sarsen. We commend his Vel'Koz. That's right at the side of the meta, but the Jarvan...
I thought Sarsen would be able to pull this off because he's shown such a large champion pool and been at least proficient on a lot of champions, but if we look at his Jarvan skill shots, and then that,
What is an EQ into R with what Rek'Sai pressure exactly supposed to? There's no damage coming from the Rek'Sai.
I mean, maybe if Rek'Sai was Warrior Enchant here, which frankly is probably a better build for Rek'Sai in this game, you're already all-inning on the mid-game. You might as well just double down.
Man, so definitely sub-challenger mid-lane Jarvan play coming from Sarsen.
Pretty bad. Well, he's farming well.
To that inevitable late-game power of Jarvan. Definitely going to fall off in terms of reliability. So, look, SBENU want to make something happen early. That's what we commend them for, but maybe not the Jarvan.
Okay, well, they want to go for this. Kog'Maw's still in top, so they're actually going to deny the blue buff. That's a good takeaway from the Victor at the very least. Catch ends up with it in the end, and it seems like they'll be able to easily take their own blue as well. So GBM going to have to deal with that. So they got something. It's not as bad as it could be.
A second point into the W. Usually the EQ, just the sheer extra 50-60 damage, which might be the difference between the all-in and just falling down. Surprising to see him go for the defensive option. The Hex Drinker, again, on the defensive side, but because it's Victor who does so much damage specifically in his fairly short range of control, I don't mind the Hex Drinker start. I just think you need to put the power and damage everywhere else.
Well, I guess I'm a bit surprised because GBM is not building anything resembling armor right now. Of course, getting that early arm guard is pretty terrible on Victor, but you'd think that you may want to side with just a little bit of caution, but can you really blame him with the way that he sees Sauced playing? Are you actually scared of dying right here?
Well, I mean, you've got the second Hex Core upgrade as well, which gives you the movement speed. You're already dodging the skill shots. Now, the worry here is that he's too clever, too fast, and will juke into the bad skill shots. So maybe he's handicapped himself that way, but otherwise, you know, when someone EQRs you and misses the combo on mid lane Jarvan, armor can wait a little bit.
Yeah. Sauced grabs the blue, though. That'll be huge for further harassment.
Will it, though?
Will it? Well, we're going to find out, won't we? GBM actually having to push uncomfortably far forward. There are pink wards on either side of his lane, so he doesn't have the vision he'd like, but he can play down there with Chaser, just clearing out some Rek'Sai tunnels. Not going to have a nice opportunity to counteract that. And Chaser now moving down into Tribe Rush alongside Sweet. So Pilot the only one in lane right now.
Very hard to gank Nuclear with the Valkyrie up, but it's possible.
I don't know. He can interrupt it with Cask.
That's Flasher as well. Remember, all summoners and an Alistar for disengage finally show.
Here we go. Flash onto the Alistar. There's the Cask onto Secret. Secret is just going to be exploded. He didn't have his ultimate yet. Now they're turning on to Nuclear. Is there much damage? Yes, another body slam comes through, and Pilot not going to get that one. Winter's Bite takes it away.
Really poor use of the summoner spells by Nuclear as well. He did not need to die. Now, Secret wasn't quite level 6, so couldn't just wade away with the ultimate, but Nuclear overstayed, did some counter harass, and now it's the freest dragon of their life.
Well, great timing, though. Sweet hitting level 6 first, right before Alistar did, so they can secure both of those kills. Sauced just walking around, I guess. He was seen, so not really a lot of kill pressure onto Trace. He was trying to make something happen, but Trace just immediately retreats.
These are not the solo lanes you want to play mid lane Jarvan against. Now, if this was Mara and he'd be overextended under the enemy turret, maybe there's space for it. But when it's GBM and Trace, they're never overextended ever.
Yeah, you have to say maybe this is a misread on the way that Jin Air likes to play the game.
Didn't read the instruction manual that came with the mid lane Jarvan, I don't think.
You actually just, it's an interesting discussion to talk about team style and how it affects drafting, but it doesn't really look like it was taken into account in this particular game. Pilot now with a couple of assists, not getting a kill. That's kind of a disappointment for him. Interestingly, Sweet going with Boots of Lucidity. That's actually interesting for a Braum, but it's really good with Kog'Maw.
It just means that your Unbreakable and your Ultimate are available that more often. Of course, it's a 27-second cooldown your E, something comically large in the ult at level 1 as well. So, look, if it helps those all-in trades, it's fine.
Yeah, also just having the Winter's Bite up more often, too. That gives you just more and more time that you're able to actually get the stun off with a Bio-Arcane Barrage from the Kog'Maw.
So answer a question, too. Which is the more disrespectful choice? The lack of arm guard on GBM, either as a rush or even now, or you don't even feel pressured as Sweet to have the mobility boost to even be in the mid lane. They're just saying that, all right, we're happy with this Victor versus Jarvan matchup. He's even building an item like the cooldown reduction boost specifically for lane and with much worse roam opportunities.
I'm going to go with lack of arm guard.
Okay.
And directly leveling up his second Hex Core.
I mean, even CDR boots was his next purchase.
You know, sometimes you hope like players will get punished for this, but I love GBM's showboating in this game. It's interesting, and it really shows his character.
You don't need to, oh, it's flash, head up.
Yeah, there we go. Chaser hunted out. Sasson is here. Can Chaser escape? There's an explosive cast. Looks like he will die. And there's a TP in. Equalizer already down. Trace arrives. Now GBM's got everybody to choke, though. Can he do something with this? He does have Chaos Storm, but he's not going to use it.
Sasson still has the ultimate available. Here it comes.
And there it goes. So it's Sasson trapped in there. Pilot at full HP right now. Trace is going to flash in. They're on top of Sasson. And there's the Chaos Storm finally. Is it a bit late? Kill picked up. Cathian Surprise not going to do much. So SBENU making the most of this. Another use of the Death Ray. Gravity Field right there. Trace not dead. GBM low on mana. And nope, not going to work. Flash Death Ray. So he falls as well. That was a bit sloppy from Jin Air. They had the opportunity to use the Chaos Storm. They held it too long.
Credit to Sasson, his laning mechanics with the Jarvan were a bit off, but holding on to the ultimate, in particular the Cataclysm, then using it on the clumped up Kog'Maw and Braum proved to be the winner. So an ace delayed for SBENU, and suddenly a window back into this game.
Yeah, that was nicely played by SBENU. First off, the engage, and only Pilot there. Chaser really can't do much.
Target selection was very good, so Chaser died first. Crucially, didn't have to spend the ultimate, so flashed for auto attack range for Sasson at this present point. They evaded the instant damage from the Victor ultimate, and then the re-engage came big.
Well, they should have just dropped Chaos Storm and retreated right there. There's no reason to lose more. Basically, it would have been a huge investment just for one kill and no objectives, but instead, they save it, and they only get that single kill, and then GBM gets really greedy.
He just doesn't realize that he doesn't have the mana for any more spells. At this point, it's almost completely out of mana.
It's a blind flash Death Ray onto Secret.
He was just smelling triple kill. The styling from the mid lane extended to that skirmish, and he was punished.
Well, even after the dust settles right there, Papa Smithy, it's still less than a 2K gold difference after that very poor team fight from Jin Air. So they're not going to be too uncomfortable with that. And they also got the first dragon. So one of the major win conditions for SBENU has kind of already been denied.
Not impossible, but we're talking about 30 minutes being added to this game. We see the next one spawns in a minute 30, so 25.5 minutes. So at the absolute earliest, a 42-minute dragon. And SBENU's average game time, it doesn't get close to 42 minutes.
No, it doesn't. And this composition can't survive at 42 minutes unless it's at 15K, 10K, 15K in advance. But they do get the top lane tower. That's nice. They use the Corki with the Trinity Force completed to take that objective. And now Pilot here will grab one on the opposite side of the map. So gold lead remains about the same. Are they going to commit to a dragon here, though? SBENU kinds of needs it. Yeah, that's where they're going to draw the line and back off.
Be interesting to see what defensive itemization Pilot goes for, because you know, you joked with Doa about the Randuin's 80 carry, but maybe actually a decent pickup as we get into the later game, because there's magic damage, but you're not really worried about the Rumble Corki. It's specifically Jarvan one-shotting you.
Yeah, or Corki getting in range after Jarvan goes in.
So remember, Corki has the armor shred with the flat armor penetration that we're expecting from the likely Brutalizer. True damage onto the Kog'Maw will be a very dead Void.
Yes. Well, Pilot does have flash up for the next fight, so harder to actually lock him down under these circumstances.
That ultimate going to be on a much shorter cooldown, so maybe it's about the repeated engages, blowing that flash and then knowing that for 4.5 minutes, there's cooldowns and just things that Pilot won't be able to account for in terms of the Cataclysm just locking down in position.
What do you think here for Jin Air? I think they shouldn't fight this dragon. They should just take mid lane turret if they can, so that Jarvan has to overextend. You don't need this dragon if you're Jin Air.
Jarvan's woefully out of position at the moment. They have a couple of deep wards. He's just walked through wards. They have an idea of the positioning of the Jarvan. it's a risk, as you mentioned, but because you have the flash on Kog'Maw, if you can get that flash up on GBM as well, I think it's fair to contest.
Okay, well, Sassen will initiate a split push, at least for the moment. They want to get up to that tier 2 before they enter the river to fight the dragon. There you go. There's just a flash coming in as Secret gets caught out. They know Jarvan's not there. Secret does take a large amount of chunk damage, but it's not too bad. Ooh, bad equalizer used. And they're just going to kite back into a choke. SBENU cannot follow that.
It was a nice equalizer if the fight was different. It was in the right choke, but just wasn't able to force anything. Now, Jarvan has everything available and is at full health, but GBM still about 10 seconds away from his own flash.
They have no tankiness without Unbreakable, though. That's the main concern. And, well, they're going to get the dragon. So Catch secures it with the smite. Janair deciding not to re-engage, in spite of the fact that all the good ults right now from SBENU are down except for Cataclysm.
Getting very, very aggressive, but finally has to back away. Taking turrets, even with the Trinity Force on Corki, that's going to be the big difficulty for SBENU, because it's been a while since we've seen this, but it's a one-range champion lineup.
Yeah, and Maokai now heading down, but he only has the Ninja Tabi in terms of armor. Had to build for the Rumble in lane. Still no Righteous Glory. Sassen pops out. He's not going to get any turret damage down to speak of.
Still going to need an Infinity Edge on top of this Youmuu's Ghostblade to realistically be able to kill someone like Maokai. Even if it's only health in the Ninja Tabi, it's enough to hold down the job.
Wow, look at this. The actual Zhonya's is starting to come through. He decided he was done being disrespectful. Actually got the arm guard.
Put in his place.
Yeah, just a little bit. Just a hair. But stacking that up later is not going to be ideal for him. Obviously, that's not really an efficient way to build when he already would have had the wave clear from the E with the first upgrade on the Hex Core and then been able to more fully stack it. So they're going to take a tower for it. And SBENU starting to develop a nice little chunk of change.
They've been holding Janair at arm's length for the last 10 minutes or so. 3,000 gold it has been the consistent factor. And they're just looking for spaces for Sassen to split push and pick up items. But what is the crucial item pickup that really takes over this game? Youmuu's Ghostblade obviously makes a lot of sense in terms of the flat armor penetration, but makes him an excellent and safe split pusher because, of course, EQing out at any opportunity and just popping the Youmuu's for attack speed. Can they really go for that? Because they need to, specifically when teleport is down for Trace, I think that's a viable strategy. He's just not able to one-shot the tanky Maokai, so when the teleport's up, less options for the job.
Yeah, but even if he does start split pushing, GBM now picked up an early home guard, so he's kind of always going to be there. Now they could go for an early Baron, and if they get this, it will change absolutely everything. Ping's going down. It is seen with the Scrying Orb, so SBENU has to back off. Yeah, they really need to keep vision on that. Good instinct, though, as Pilot took the red.
That was a good aggressive call by SBENU as well.
Yep.
So it was a nice thing to try, especially with Corki in vision in the bot lane and with Sassen being able to put up the massive damage, but they have to back away.
Well, back to wave clear central here from Janair as they just farm up into the items that they need to crush SBENU's composition.
Wave clear central sounds like a train station. Is it near KT?
Is it near KT? I don't know. I'm worried about KT. I would like to think that they're going to be continuing with their wave clear mission so they can play aggressively in the enemy jungle.
SBENU, a lot of pressure around this Baron, but this is one of those spots where you just feel like SBENU, because they're a younger team, because they don't have that experience, aren't going to be able to force the next step and the next piece in the puzzle, and are going to kind of let this Kog'Maw just free farm it up.
It's hard. It's really hard for them to actually do anything right now. Look at the way that Janair is playing. Kog'Maw goes forward. They have three other people in that top side, and now they have to force the flash from GBM, but he's the one who's just standing there, and they can't actually take an objective. So they're getting the Kog'Maw the farm while playing in a defensive ring around him and just letting GBM sit there, wave clear, go back, home guard back into whichever wave needs him.
The Still, we see that he's used the flash. Now you have something to play around, just like TF is very gankable under a turret. Victor is very immovable without the flash, and they have the Jarvan to really pin down his position. So,
well, until he gets Zhonya's, then that is not going to be so much of an option. Trying to bait the Baron now. Sweet is here. Sweet is going to get jumped on. There he goes, but nice flash out of the Cataclysm, so there's no kill. SBENU now less of a threat for the coming few minutes, but if that trade can go through, it will be useful.
Just want to force as many flashes as possible. About 90-second cooldown on the Cataclysm. Of course, the 5 minutes on the Baroness. Just use that Ghost Blade to get out of lane. Easy peasy.
Well, very short cooldown, so probably not going to need that. You're not going to immediately be making a play as you look to farm up even further.
Use that word tempo to describe what SBENU needs to do this game. And the tempo of the last 5 minutes definitely leaves something a bit to be desired. And the gold lead, it's never grown. It's gotten to 2,500. It's pushed towards 3, but then kind of stood static.
It's that they're controlling the tempo, but not in a big enough way. They're getting these little itty-bitty victories. A flash for an ultimate here, things like that, but they're not taking home the big prizes like Baron. Like any kind of tier 2 turret, they're not really able to fully commit to a split push. Zhonya's Hourglass is now done on GBM. That is an absolutely massive buy. Kog'Maw is now the only target for Jarvan. That's it. Because GBM will just simply put a gravity well on himself, and Zhonya's if you ult him. So there's nothing you can do.
Chaos Storm ultimate.
Yeah.
Zhonya's.
So there's no real choice when it comes to how you're going to play this. You know that Pilot's the target.
It's only really Dragon that SBENU feels comfortable fighting around because, you mentioned some of their options. Pushing turrets again with only the one ranged auto attacker is a tough feat for them to do without picks. And the defensive warding from Jin Air, and this is a team known for many warding turns or just smart warding, has been there. And this is a second Dragon, something Jin Air are happy to give away because, again, if this game is still going at 50 minutes, Jin Air have other issues to deal with.
Jin Air is playing to their win conditions right now. They know that getting that first Dragon is clutch. After that, they don't have to really commit to anything. They've doubled down in terms of home guard boots on their solo lanes. They're just going to sit there and wait and wait and wait for Sasin to be irrelevant, for Trace to start getting items like Frozen Heart.
And for Pilot to outscale Nuclear, because in terms of team fight damage, that is something Kog'Maw will always do. And look at these item timings. Remember yesterday when Arrow was struggling in that matchup in Game 2 between Ku and KT, he was an item behind or more for the majority of that game. In this game, Pilot's ahead.
Yeah, Pilot is ahead. Even GBM, at least in farm, has that slight edge. Same thing about Trace because they're splitting up while SBENU repeatedly tries to group on this Baron to force some kind of fight, which is what they have to do. They do need to accelerate the pace of this game somehow, some way.
Sasin's going to steal away the blue buff very, very quickly. Maokai's not interested. They have vision on this. They saw him step into this rush, but again, you talk about the wrestle for tempo, and it's too small. They need to make the big play, but with 5 flashes available, which will be the case very soon, hard for SBENU to make much happen because it's all Jarvan when we're talking about initiation.
You're not even really going to be able to get this red buff right now with Jarvan on the bottom side of the map. They can only play around the Jarvan pretty much.
That's exactly what Jin Air is doing. They're sending the tanky Maokai there. Okay, doesn't have a lot of armor, but has a high enough amount of health. And the likes of Home Guard boost just ensure that no turrets will go down. And the Jarvan's movements have been predictable thanks to the smart warding from Sweet in particular.
Well, Jarvan can't even really walk up and auto these turrets either because Maokai will just walk behind him, arcane smash the wave, and then W to him, and he'll stand there next to the tower eating a bunch of turret shots.
Yep, that's the reality, and that's why we don't see a lot of this Jarvan. If you don't crush lane, whether you're top or mid, strategic options actually close down because you're used to high AP threat, you're used to range from the mid lane, and the turret pressure is only there. If it wasn't a Maokai, if it was a tanky, a carry-based top laner, absolutely consider the Jarvan. But in this particular case, kind of answered well by what Jin has put together.
Yeah, certainly has been. Not to mention they have the Braum versus the Corki. That's a very favorable matchup too. Being able to block a lot of the phosphorus bombs in the laning phase, and then it chains into blocking some of those big rockets in the late game. with the Unbreakable. Sassen has some more armor penetration now, but it's coming at a time where Chaser and Trace are really moving very rapidly towards Frozen Hearts.
Let's wait and see the first time Sassen and Trace meet in offlane, because level 16, 2-level advantage over Trace. Now with the last Whisper, maybe this is the time that you finally can hit that go button and actually pressure out the Mount.
Well, they're not actually going for the Baron. Now they're going to see Sassen. Lots of pings coming from Jinair onto that objective. They know they need to keep vision about it. And they're going to go on a Chaser, but there is no Jarvan there. Here's a TP actually coming in from the backside. TP's going to be meeting right there, but hello, Trace is already on top of Nuclear. And the Equalizer is dropped, but it's really not doing anything right now. Gravity Field ties up Secret, and that is 1 kill already for Jinair. Sassen wasn't ready to commit to that. There's the Maelstrom going in one more time. Sassen on the outside gets on top of Pilot. Pilot has Flash. He doesn't even have to use it as the concussive blows come through. GBM just wrecking alongside Trace, and that's a perfect ace. Double kill for GBM, and that is likely going to be the last chance that SBENU has. They tried to go aggressive without their key member, the mid lane Jarvan. What a disaster.
The tracking of the Jarvan was wonderful to see from Jinair. They split threats, Pilot and Suisei next to each other. Crucially, Sassen was exhausted before he even went through with the captors, who did no damage whatsoever. Just wait for the Jarvan to come into the picture, because again, he was the only one they really needed to account for.
Well, Trace is already there too. You can see Sassen using the Yomu's Ghost Blade, but where is he supposed to go right now? He knows he can only hit Pilot. Yeah, all flashes up. GBM just getting into the side lane.
Exhaust.
And there you go. Exhaust, like you said, down, jumping right over to the Kog'Maw. I mean, Pilot doesn't even have to use heal, doesn't have to use flash. Easy for Jinair.
Look, what Jarvan needs is for so much disruption for the likes of a Gragas to maybe split up threats and then get that solo kill, because if Braum is standing next to Kog'Maw, Kog'Maw's living.
Yeah, you don't even have to land a skill shot at that point. Well, they're going to try one more time. Equalizer, just a disengage from the Glacial Fissure. Secret dies all by himself.
Not that secret.
He wasn't that secretive.
Full vision.
He's also a giant Minotaur.
That's true. Sassen's a damage threat, but not to Chaser. Now he's going to be caught.
And there we go. They're going to get some more auto attacks. He's going to get stunned. Here we go. The tank line is there. Sweet just blocking a lot of shots on the side. He's eventually going to go down, trying to get under his tower, but where is the next Twisted Advance? Well, pops his ultimate onto the tanks. That is not going to work. Pilot there to throw in a few auto attacks.
I'm just impressed with how smartly Jinair have played around something different. Played around the mid lane Jarvan that you see from time to time in solo queue and in other scenes, but it's not often in the mid lane when we're talking about competitive teams outside of Keen. And accounting for those picks of Secret Force super low, probably going to die even through the Unbreakable will.
Well,
awkward to see.
Yeah, Pilot has so much damage right now. You know what? I actually disagree with Pilot's build. I have no idea why he built the last Whisper here. He should have just gone Infinity Edge or even Bloodthirster for more protection against the Jarvan.
I'm going to put those rose-tinted glasses on, so you wanted to kill Alistair on Unbreakable. Well, that's fine. Very good use of gold.
No, it's damage. It's percent damage reduction.
Still doing damage.
It's not as good as Infinity Edge.
Shush you. I don't know. He's just buying whatever, because unfortunately those purchases don't really mean a lot in the context of this game. Assassin has been so expertly played around that even he, the one that all the resources have been funneled to on SBENU, is a non-factor.
Yeah. I still like to see better AD carry itemization than this. But you're right. It really not going to matter at this point. SBENU down at 32 minutes. One Frozen Heart done for Trace. Chaser going to be finishing his up very, very soon with that Warden's Mail. And not really a whole lot that they can do right now, especially with Pilot retaining all of his summoners. This is about what you can do. Stand in a bush and pray.
Yeah. Divine Intervention. It's always something to really hope for on the Rift.
Regame due to blackout.
Stranger things have happened. We watched Season 2 Worlds. Crazy things happened there.
Yes, I too remember sitting at LA Live at like the ESPN zone or wherever it was, listening to 8 hours of Silver Scrapes on a loop throughout the entire restaurant sound system. That was a good time. It wasn't annoying at all.
I will not let you talk down Silver Scrapes, Monte Cristo.
Literally just Silver Scrapes.
Yep.
For 8 hours on a loop. It was horrible.
IEM events, also famous for song loops. Don't think I can say the name of that song on the stream, unfortunately. Sad days. I thought about it. I didn't want to commit to it.
Oh, I'm sorry about this.
Something to do about a phone. Android something?
How about that, I'm a gamer loop? That's a fun one.
Loops.
WCG, though, beyond the game.
See, that was the outlier. Tell me you weren't hyped by Beyond the Game. I mean, even in an ironic sense.
I'll admit, some small part of me maybe misses Beyond the Game just a little bit. I don't think we're ever going Beyond the Game again.
No. There wasn't WECG last year, is there?
No, it didn't actually happen, honestly. It didn't actually happen.
Events in China, sometimes like that. Just like KOO versus EDG.
Yeah.
Didn't actually happen.
It didn't actually? Is it going to happen?
No.
Oh.
Apparently there was a mistranslation.
Oh, that's sad. That would have been interesting to see. I don't think KOO would have done very well, but there you go.
Ammunition denied.
I really don't think that in EDG and KOO's current state that KOO would be able to survive very long against EDG, considering they are weak to the early game, and that is one of EDG's primary strengths.
Can't disagree with that logic at all, but I'm sad that it's not happening. I miss the days of the Gigabyte Stars War League and these Korea versus China tournaments. We have to wait for Worlds. I mean, MSI, of course, to give us a lot of data points there, but you know, those rare inter-regional matches just teased and then not happening.
Yeah. Well, Baron going to be up in another minute, so Jin Air looks like they want to secure that objective before they actually commit to breaking the base. They have pretty good siege, so I'm not sure that's entirely necessary, but they want to play the ultra safe game, and this 2-0 is super important to them, so that is quite understandable.
As you mentioned, everything is tied up between 2nd and 6th, so given, especially Jin Air, no guarantee to make it into the top 5. They're one of the most likely teams to miss the playoffs. Now's the time to play the really measured game. And honestly, they didn't start this game measured. We saw the taunting from GBM in the laning phase. And remember, all those 5 kills were the delayed ace at 8-10 minutes into the game randomly. But since then, they've buttoned up a bit.
They have. I love the confidence they started this game with, though. Simply GBM getting into his opponent's head. Well, you missed that first Dragonlance. I'm going to start /laughing and /dancing on you. Showing that level of confidence. Well, they're standing at a ward right now. It doesn't really matter because there is a Rek'Sai that that does not see the green ward, so they popped the lens on it anyway.
Is it wrong that I try and imagine how that could happen in real life? Those weird visual bugs.
Nope. Here we go. Dragon spawns. Jin Air immediately on it. Trays with an Iron Elixir. He is a
big.
huge mega tree. And can he find the angle? Almost certainly he will be able to, depending on where he chooses to TP into. Secret there with the Righteous Glory, going to get a nice knock-up, but there is no follow-up whatsoever. And guess what? Maokai's already here. Secret will die, and the Equalizer just not doing enough. They get a kill on the Sweep, though. So that is a nice little bonus for them, but they just... Oh! Nope, that's not going to work. Pilot actually goes down to Corki somehow. Oh, a little bit too far forward. Nuclear still at full HP. Now, are they going to be able to turn this? Nicely done by SBENU. Triple kill onto Nuclear. They didn't find the right targets in the back line.
Specifically, Pilot could not walk over the Equalizer, so had to back away. Was split from his tanks and the other threats. GBM was able to Zhonya's out the damage from the Jarvan ultimate, but that's the exact sort of unorganized fight that SBENU was looking for.
And Jin Air, they haven't been the best team at team fighting, it has to be said, this season, and now they have to deal with Trace. Trace has a lot of HP still, but Sasin is doing a lot of damage, and looks like Trace is going to fall in the end. However, he did buy time for Victor to get there, so doesn't make that big of a deal considering that the Baron was stopped and Jin Air will simply have another shot at it.
Definitely mission successful from Trace's perspective. His job was to stop Baron. He did that expertly. There's still a small remote chance that SBENU can get back into this game, but honestly that was more on Jin Air's positioning misplays, playing around a choke.
Well, all they have to do is just disengage off of Secret.
But instead they all sit on the equalizer. Now, even though this is not a massive equalizer in terms of damage, Pilot's first instinct is to go back, and who's there but Jarvan?
Nuclear gets a ton of free auto attacks over the wall, too.
And this Jarvan accounts for GBM in general. As you mentioned, Nuclear completely able to free auto. Kog'Maw, first instinct to move back from the equalizer, stopped any chance of a teamfight win for Jin Air. They pick up the Dragon though, but it's actually SBENU's Dragon, but 3-2 as we mentioned. 5th Dragon, not a realistic win condition in this game.
Yeah, not going to really be there for them. Now, the Baron could very well be, and Jin Air not in a place to contest it if SBENU chooses to rush it. They've got 3 people still in the mid lane, but looks like SBENU, are they going to commit right away? The answer is no.
Has there been any big item purchases? Infinity Edge, although it sounds comical, is pretty core to this Jarvan build because you can do insane burst damage with all the armor showed from both your Q and the last Whisper. He's gone for the Ravenous Hydra just for a bit of extra sustain. I don't know if he needs sustained damage. It feels like his job is to really account for Pilot in particular, who still has built no defensive stats. He doesn't have any health, he doesn't have any armor. He is still very easy to kill, specifically for the next 2.5 minutes while his flash is down. Yeah,
Pilot 2 just really punished for his misuse of his summoner spells. You know, you think about it, he could have actually repositioned earlier in that fight by flashing over the equalizer and just getting into a position behind his tank line, but instead he walked out and then flashed straight into Nuclear and Soul's damage. So that was a pretty big misplay. Pilot just going to shoot over the wall right now. His ultimate's going to miss a lot, actually.
Sweet, single-handedly just sitting there with the Sightstone, plopping down wards and stopping the Baron threat. That should be easy. Remember, Pilot doesn't have any way to get to this Baron fast. This is the sort of time when SBENU really want to be pushing onto the Baron, but so far, completely unable to.
Yeah, they're prepping there. Remember that if Pilot has to go right now, his mana will be low. So not ideal. Man, if SBENU can win this game, it is going to be absolutely crazy, their comeback.
Catch gets caught, but able to get through with the tunnel. Very nice. So
Glory used, though.
And Pilot also, as you mentioned, below half mana. Now, of course, Byrocane Barrage no longer costs mana, but it's all about that consistent damage, and even just the reveal, allowing your allies to be able to get extra auto attacks and just spells in. So it's actually a relevant factor. It's at half now, so it's not panic stations, but SBENU need to force something.
I think they're just going to wait until Pilot Summoners are back up. There's no reason not to, really.
That's why SBENU need to. They have the exact timer. They'll know when Pilot flashes up because it's pretty much key to their victory that that Summoner is down.
Yes. At least at the current time, without any kind of survivability for Pilot beyond what his allies can help him with.
Elixir of Wrath on Sarsen also bought another longsword. As powered up as he can be with his current economy, SBENU's only place to fight is around Baron because they cannot push. We've mentioned this multiple times. There's good wave clear from Jin Air, and there's no safe turret damage from SBENU.
It's like a recall for Pilot. What will he buy? Okay. He's going to buy a cowl. Well, I suppose that gives him some health, but...
Okay, what this lets him do, okay, bear with me here. He can now stand on the equalizer and not have to flash away from it. So if that means that he can disregard one of these zone control abilities and just ensure his flash is specifically to deal with Jarvan, that's still more than he can buy in items in many other regards.
Fair. Fair. One could also argue that perhaps Distortion enchantment on his boots might be useful this game.
I don't know if he needs to worry about his next flash. I feel like the next team fight will decide this game. It feels like SBENU were already 1 foot in the grave. Now they have a fighting chance, but I don't think it's really an important point, Pilot's subsequent flash, because the next fight's going to decide everything.
Well, they're looking for it now. Pilot's flash is back up. It would seem to be the trigger for Jin Air to actually do this Baron.
Sarsen doesn't have flash himself. It looks like it's about, what, 10 seconds away? So 10 summoners going to be available very, very shortly.
Now, they can't see the Baron directly, but Rek'Sai will see a bunch of people milling around with the Tremor Sense after that Void Rush. So not really worried about it. Jin Air really waiting a long time, and now the split push from Sarsen.
Super safe. He has EQ to get away. They will get this turret.
Yep. And he's going to just walk down through the bottom side jungle.
cannot pick this guy. He has a Yoma's Ghostblade for the 10% movement speed, so doesn't even have to blow that, can just walk away. So nice little turret picked up, again closing the gold gap. Only 3,000 gold is the advantage. As for once, Jin Air have a lot of control around Baron. Understandably, no confidence in starting.
Well, Jin Air, they really do like to play defensively. They wait and they wait and they wait, sometimes to their own detriment as 6 items come in and the game becomes a lot more of a toss-up. Now, in this case, 6 items is not much of a toss-up for them, so they actually don't have much to lose by continuing to wait here.
Not making any big macro decision-making flaws. Last time we watched them, I had to talk about cricket a lot. So far,
oh man, that was a bit questionable in that mid-game. Get that early inhibitor for free, inhibitor turret, and then just never actually split push the inhibitor, the naked one.
Yeah, take a top lane inhibitor turret at 15 minutes, take down that top lane inhibitor for the first time at 43 minutes. That was the worst.
That was.
It was really bad.
Well, QSS finished for Sassin.
I think damage. Honestly, I think he needed a BF sword.
Especially since there's going to be a delay on the actual CC, except for the Twisted Advance. But the concussive blows and the gravity field do take time to actually CC you, and if you haven't done enough by that moment, you're probably not going to do much at all.
So hard unless other zone control ultimates come in and actually force one of these summoners down. Trace actually goes aggressive.
They're going for it. Nope, Righteous Glory used, but there we go. He's on the pilot already, but there's the flash. So now Jin Air can go in. Trace doing a lot of damage. Sassin really doesn't have much. He's just being blocked out on the side. Equalizer comes through. They're on top of Pilot. Can they kill Pilot? They can kill Pilot as Soul gets on top of him. Victor, the only damage left now. And holy cow, is SBENU going to turn this? Yes. They've killed 3. Chaser is actually going to go down. Sweet, the only one remaining. And they're going to be able to just push through and win this game.
60-second death timers. Sassin did his job, got on and absolutely zoned Pilot away from the whole fight. Rek'Sai even picks up the 5th kill. This is a win for SBENU.
A shocking comeback from SBENU here as they just pick apart Pilot. Pilot just doesn't have the necessary tools to escape. You got to wonder about this build a little bit. He only had to stay alive. And they really overcommitted on the flank too and left Pilot alone. They tried to get on to catch, and that's going to be a shocking upset for SBENU. And now Sassin giving it back with the dancing in the Nexus. I love it. I love it.
So much feeling in what was a nothing match for SBENU. They could have just rolled over and died. They were behind 5,000 gold to a mid lane Jarvan, but crucially in that fight, the damage registered onto Pilot. He was jumped down to below half.
No one was there to peel for him.
But his positioning, he was trying to get free orders. He did not think the Sassin would just run straight at him, but that was a positioning mistake from Pilot. And when he flashed away, his Bio-Arcane Barrage was down as well. So he did precisely 0 damage while Corki free hit.
Well, Chaser tried to get back there too, but it was just too late. I mean,